everyone, and welcome to my review of Gamera vs. Jiger, which is how they pronounce it in the movies. That's how I'm gonna pronounce it, so don't go leaving any, translation notes or anything like that. Regardless, this is the sequel to Gamera vs. Guiron, the previous movie in the series, and this is now the sixth entry in the Gamera series, halfway there. And I gotta say, I think is really continuing the upslide for the series. In my opinion, and like I've stated before, I think Gamma vs. Virus is probably the worst movie in the entire series, and frankly, one of the worst movies I've seen. And that's saying a lot, because I have seen some shitty movies. I mean, there's some entertainment value to be had there, but overall, it's just barely even worth your time. Not even really. Unless you're a fan of the Gamma series, there's literally no reason to watch it. But that was in my other review. So, let's get on to this one. Gamera vs. Guiron takes a little bit of a different approach. It kind of goes back to the more traditional monster bashing through the city, but its introduction is a little bit different in that Jiger is found on this island and has to fly, or kind of swim slash jet over to Japan, as I'll explain in a little bit, before he starts wreaking havoc. And there's actually a huge mystery behind this creature, and you can really tell this is a slightly more mature approach to the Gamera series than the previous movies, if only because there's more emphasis put on the actual monster itself and the destruction it causes, the threat that it really has to humanity, other than the like, oh no kind of value of like the children saying, oh, it's bad that there's a monster. In this case, the story really chooses to put the expo right up front, and if anyone's seen 20th Century Boys in particular, you'll certainly recognize something here. But suffice to say, there's a lot more danger in this one this time around. Jiger's a very dangerous creature. Again, I'll get to that in a second, but he has a little bit of a different way to beating him, which I find very interesting or very cool. Kind of makes the story a little more interesting. Who's gonna beat up who first. There's a couple more variables to it than that, and I appreciated that. As well, though there is still child characters, as there always is. This is the Gamera series after all. Honestly, if there was one without some kind of child, I'd be kind of disappointed. I mean, no, I'd be kind of disappointed. They don't have to take full focus, but if they don't acknowledge that in the later movies at this point in time, then I think that would be kind of a slight betrayal of its origins. It could work, of course, but we'll see. Can't wait to get to the 90s era Gamera movies. Anyway, like I said, the story is more interesting this time around. There's some child characters, but there's a lot more adult characters help proceed the movie along. The army makes a nice return. The last movie being in outer space, you really didn't get to see a whole lot of the military involvement in the conflict, which is always, a classic giant monster movie trope. You need to see the military come in with their ineffectual secret weapon, fail until the other giant good monster comes along and beats it up. But overall, the characters in this one, too, I actually thought were not incredibly likable, but more so. Particularly the two children characters really kind of gave a shit about them this time. I was also really pleased that they brought back the sub, by the way, from Gamera vs. Virus. Not the same sub, but that same whole mini sub plot line. I don't know why that is such a compatible thing with Gamera. They keep finding new plot devices for it. And there's actually a really good one here that I'm just going to talk about now, because might as well. They, at one point, Gamera is disabled, and in short, they have to use a mini sub to defeat this infection inside of him, all magic school bus style. And really interesting. They really get some nice suitmation effects inside Gamera. Not as much as to show his the inner walls of where they're walking, but the infection itself, so to speak. Some really nice miniature suit effects. Really appreciated that. They actually blended surprisingly well down to the human scale. Sometimes they shrink these things down and they just look stupid. If anyone's seen the original Ultraman series, you know what I mean. But like I said, overall, most of the adult characters you really didn't know or care about. They were just there to explicate what the Expo was. Clearly there was an educational element to this film as to teach children about the Expo and the importance of it. And I don't mind that because it didn't seem so heavy-handed as to be just, like, oh, come on, you're slowing up the pace here. It was nothing like that whatsoever. There was clearly, like I said, an expositional element to it, but it didn't really bother me. It didn't slow down the pace of the movie, and because you learned more about it, you understood better the threat, which increased the gravity of the monster battles to come. Now, to the effects and the monsters themselves. Gamera is looking a little better this time. The suit is clearly a new suit, And maybe not the most expensive suit you've ever seen, but they've definitely put more effort into it this time, and there is not a point in which one of the characters turns into a puppet. But Jiger in particular I want to talk about because he's a really interesting creature. I want to speed through this because I'm not being a little talky for this one, but there is a significant amount to talk about in this movie. But Jiger in this one, he's kind of this four-legged dinosaur thing. Looks like a mixture of Triceratops and, just like a giant reptile. And at first doesn't seem like a cool monster, but he's got kind of these two tusks on the side of him that he can actually shoot out like harpoons. And he has like little poison darts in these spikes, and he can fly because he has jets on the backs of his legs and his face, which doesn't make any sense. But it does make for a more interesting monster, particularly because he actually does one thing. It's like this ray, not completely unlike Barugon's rainbow ray, except not actually a rainbow this time, that causes enormous amounts of destruction on the city. He really doesn't use it a whole lot because I imagine the effects budget would really be over the roof or off the charts with it. But it really is an interesting effect. It makes it for a much more difficult battle with Gamera. Unlike in the previous couple movies, Gamera seems really seriously threatened in this movie, which is a nice change of pace. Not that it was poor before, but again, increases the gravity of the situation. You care more. And the sound, really nothing to write home about. I actually like the music better in the previous movie because they were a little more spacey and fit the tone. Whereas this just seems like, the generic monster movie music. There is some tribal beats in the background that actually, again, kind of harken back to Gamera vs. Baragon. Not quite as lively or as entertaining or as well composed as those, but it serves as adequate background. Overall, Gamera vs. Jiger is a great entry in the Gamera franchise. It's not the best movie you'll ever see. It's not even the best movie you'll see in the Gamera franchise, but it does have its positives, and it's certainly worth seeing, especially after Gamera vs. Virus. And if you liked Gamera vs. Guiron, this is a return to form for Gamera, I think. I only hope it continues through here to Gamera vs. Zygra. But one can only hope, I suppose. I actually did want to mention one thing, by the way, is that Shout Factory has yet to release either Gamera vs. Zygra or Gamera Super Monster, which are the final two movies in the Showa era of the Gamera franchise. As such, I will be unable to review them. I don't really have much way to watch them otherwise. So, I'm going to be skipping to the 90s era Gamera movies, which I have the first two of right now, which I got on the Blu-ray from Mill Creek Entertainment. I have seen them, and I promise you those reviews are going to be up very soon. But for now, it's only going to be those two as well. This December, I actually ordered an old DVD copy of The Revenge of Iris off of Amazon. Kind of dicey, a little too expensive for my taste, but I ordered it nonetheless because I am a huge fan of monster movies, Gamera in particular. So expect all of them to be reviewed, but maybe at a protracted schedule. So the next two will be Gamera Guardian of the Universe, as well as Gamera Attack of the Legion. After that, I'm probably going to do the Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris, which if you don't know is the final movie in the 90s Gamera trilogy. And then hopefully by this time, Shout Factory will have at least announced the other two Gamera movies, that is in the Showa era. And after those are released, then I will do a re-review of Gamera the Brave, which is with the originally one I did first, but I think it's probably worth going over again, if only to give a changed perspective. Maybe I thought something different of the film now that I've experienced the series, and as well just give my concluding thoughts on the series as a whole. Until then, I hope you enjoyed the review. I apologize for making these later than usual, but I'm back on track now. Please forgive me for that. Expect a lot more other videos too, not just Gamera. November was an awful month for me, but I'm largely free December. I'll get some great movie reviews to you. I have tons of movies to see in November. Tons of books... December, sorry. I have tons of books to read in December, so expect a lot of posts there. I hope everyone has a great day, and thank you for watching.